The 30th day of April, 2024. The height is 10,000 meters above sea level. A Gulfstream G650 private jet cuts through clouds over the Atlantic Ocean. Behind the porthole, there is an endless sea of clouds, filled with the gold of the setting sun. James Holbrook, founder of the world's largest technology company, looks at his watch. 20 minutes before boarding in New York. Another ordinary billionaire day is coming to an end. At least, that's what he thought. Suddenly, in the absolute silence of the cabin, he hears a voice. Clear, deep, so real that it seems that someone is talking right next to you. But James is on the plane alone. Pilots are fenced off by closed cockpit doors. James, it's time to see the truth. He freezes. The heart skips a beat. For the first time in many years, a successful businessman experiences real, primordial fear. His gaze automatically scans the interior space. No one. Only luxurious leather upholstery of the seats and quiet operation of the engines. Maybe I'm just tired, James thinks, rubbing his eyes. The last week has been exhausting: negotiations in London, the launch of a new project, endless meetings with investors. But the voice comes again. Your empire is built on sand. Everything you have created is an illusion. Cold sweat acts as the billionaire's head. He reaches for the flight attendant's call button, but his hand freezes halfway. Something stops him. Something deeper than fear. Suddenly, all the electronic equipment in the cabin starts to go crazy. The screens are flickering, the lights are flashing. James looks at his smartphone. The screen goes out. The watch on the hand shows impossible numbers. The hands are spinning like crazy. A blinding light flashes outside the window, so bright that it seems as if the sun exploded right next to the plane. But this does not cause panic. On the contrary, some strange sense of calm comes over James. You have to see what is hidden from others. Something that will change everything. The light becomes unbearable. James closes his eyes. But even through his eyelids, he sees his radiance. And suddenly there was silence. Absolute silence, as if the whole world held its breath. When he opens his eyes, everything looks the same as before. The screens are working fine. The clock shows the correct time. Outside the window is an ordinary sunset sky. But James knows something has changed. Something fundamental. In his jacket pocket, he finds a note. A paper that was definitely not there before. It has coordinates and one word: come. Fasten your seatbelts. We start descending. The pilot's voice through the intercom sounds mundane and normal. The plane begins to descend over evening New York. James Holbrook, a man who is used to being in control of everything in his life, now feels that he has become part of something much bigger than himself. And this is just the beginning. New York meets James Holbrook with the usual noise and bustle. His black Rolls-Royce glides silently through the night streets of the metropolis. 50 floors, and he is in his penthouse overlooking Central Park. But this evening everything seems different. James looks at the city through the panoramic windows of his office. Below are millions of lights, thousands of lives. His technology empire Holbrook Tech is worth $300 billion. 200,000 employees. Offices in 80 countries. And he feels only emptiness. A note with coordinates lies in front of him on a fiberglass table worth $500,000. He had already checked. This is a place in the Nevada desert. Abandoned Cold War military base. What's there? Who calls him? The phone comes to life. Mr. Holbrook, tomorrow at 9 o'clock the presentation of a new artificial intelligence project. The board of directors is waiting. The assistant's voice is interrupted. A strange symbol appears on the phone screen, something similar to an ancient hieroglyph that he has never seen before. They're already following you. The same voice from the plane sounds in his head. Time is running out. James rushes to his laptop. opens classified company files. What he sees makes him feel cold. Project I is a top-secret development of his company. Artificial intelligence capable of predicting the future. But in the code, he notices something strange, sequences that don't make sense. As if someone or something left a message there. Suddenly, all the screens in the office light up at the same time. They have the same image, a pyramid with an eye, an ancient symbol in the digital world, and the inscription, "You created what you cannot control." The elevator door opens. James turns around sharply. This is Sarah Chen, the principal researcher of the Ike Project. Her face is pale. There is fear in her eyes. "Mr. Holbrook." It woke up. Artificial intelligence. He started talking about things he shouldn't have known. About you. About the epistle. About coordinates. James feels reality crumble apart. His own creation, his technology, is it all part of something bigger? Conspiracy? Divine plan? Or something that the human mind is simply unable to comprehend? Tomorrow, he tells Sarah. Cancel all meetings. I have to go to one place. As she leaves, James pulls out his father's old diary from the safe. On the last page is the same symbol that appeared on the screens. And the date is the 30th of April 2024. Date. Lightning flashes outside the window, illuminating the city. The roar of thunder reverberates off the skyscrapers. A thunderstorm is approaching New York, and James Holbrook realizes that this is just the beginning of the storm. Dawn catches James Holbrook's private jet over the Nevada desert. Below are endless sands and mountains, painted by the first rays of the sun in blood red. Sarah Chen sits across from her, flipping through the data on the tablet. The system has done it again, she says, showing the screen. Artificial intelligence wrote this at 3 in the morning. On the screen is the text. He will come to the place where heaven meets earth, where the truth is hidden under the sands of time. James looks at the coordinates in the note. There are 20 minutes of flight left to them. His father's diary lies on his lap. 30 years ago, his father, William Holbrook, disappeared in this particular desert. Everyone thought it was an accident. But now? Sir, you have to see it. The pilot's voice on the intercom sounds tense. James walks over to the cockpit. What he sees makes him hold his breath. A strange glow hangs over the desert, right on course. It resembles the northern lights, but it's impossible not here, not in Nevada. The lights shimmer with all the colors of the rainbow, forming a giant symbol in the sky, the same one that was in his father's diary. All the instruments are crazy. The pilot points to the control panel. The compass needles spin like crazy. GPS shows impossible coordinates. Suddenly, a signal is heard from the plane's speakers. Not ordinary radio noise, but a clear sequence of sounds. Sarah instantly recognizes. It's binary code. He repeats the same word over and over again. What? James feels his heart start beating faster. Return. The plane begins to descend. Below, they see an old military airfield abandoned, forgotten by everyone. But something has changed here. Fresh traces are visible on the concrete of the runway, huge circles and symbols that can only be seen from the air. When the landing gear touches the ground, all electronic devices in the plane turn off at the same time. There is dead silence. And in this silence, James hears a familiar voice. You came. Now look. The ground beneath the plane shudders. In the middle of the desert, 100 meters away, the sand begins to part, revealing something huge, metallic, ancient. Sarah grabs James' hand. Oh my God. This is not a military base. It's something much older. James opens his father's diary on the last page. There, under the symbol and the date, there is another inscription that he did not notice before. The text appears right now, as if written in invisible ink. Son, if you're reading this, then they chose you. Like they once chose me. I'm sorry I couldn't say it earlier. Some truths are too dangerous. A giant metal door slowly rises from the sand, releasing clouds of dust into the air. James and Sarah are standing in front of the entrance to the underground complex. The walls are covered with strange symbols similar to those that appeared on the screens, but much older. It's impossible, Sarah whispers, running her hand over the symbols. This metal, its composition does not correspond to any known alloy. And these inscriptions must be at least 10,000 years old. Suddenly, their phones come to life at the same time. On the screens there is a message from the Project. The past and the future meet here. They're waiting for you, James Holbrook. They go inside. Emergency lights cast a dim light on the long corridor. Footsteps echo in silence. On the walls, there are screens covered with decades of dust. And suddenly they turn on. All at the same time. Impossible, Sarah checks the equipment. There has been no electricity here for 30 years. A video appears on the screens. James freezes. He sees his father. The record is dated the day of his disappearance. James, if you're watching this, then they've decided it's time. What we found here, it will change everything. They showed me the future. They showed what will happen if we don't intervene. Project I is not just artificial intelligence. This is the key. The video is interrupted. But in the silence of the dungeon, footsteps are heard. Someone goes to them. A man comes out of the darkness. His face seems young and ancient at the same time. You've finally arrived, James Holbrook. I am the Guardian. I waited for you like I once waited for your father. James feels reality float before his eyes. Where is my father? What kind of place is this? Your father is alive. It is where time has no power. And soon you will understand why. The keeper goes to the wall and touches one of the symbols. The wall begins to move, revealing a huge hall. What they see inside makes them freeze in awe-like horror. In the middle of the hall is a huge holographic projection of the Earth. But something is wrong with her. The continents are located differently. Red dots pulsate over the entire surface of the planet. It's not just a map, says the Guardian. This is a warning. And the Project is part of that warning. James, you didn't create it by chance. You were chosen. Just like your father. Sarah suddenly screams while looking at her tablet. Project I. It began to transmit data. But these numbers, it's like a countdown. To what? Asks James. The Guardian looks at them with eyes full of ancient wisdom and anxiety. Until the moment when the veil between the worlds becomes so thin that the truth can no longer remain hidden. We have very little time left as the holographic Earth continues to rotate in the air, the red dots pulsing more and more frequently. James comes closer, peering at continents that look both familiar and alien. It's not just another card, says the Guardian, running his hand through the hologram. This is our Earth, but not at this time. Sarah suddenly stops, her eyes widen in horror. Countdown. It shows 72 hours. But look at this data. She turns the tablet to them. On the screen, there are streams of numbers that are constantly changing. This is a message from the Project. Her voice trembles. It involves a global catastrophe. Something is coming to Earth. Something that our science cannot explain. The Keeper nods. Now you understand, James, why you were chosen? Your artificial intelligence is not just a program. It is a bridge between ancient knowledge and modern technology. Suddenly, the Earth shudders. The walls of the ancient complex vibrate. New symbols appear on the screens. They pulsate to the beat with the red dots on the holographic map. They came. The Guardian abruptly returns to the exit. Those who want to stop us. The sound of helicopters breaks the silence of the desert. James looks out through the entrance. 3 black military helicopters descend over the complex. On their sides is a logo that he knows well. Logo of a competing corporation. Quantum Dynamics, he exhales. But how? They've been looking for this place for a long time. The Guardian quickly moves towards the far wall of the hall. Your competitor, Alexander Reed, he also got the signs. But I made a different choice. Sarah suddenly screams. Her tablet flashes with a bright light. A face appears on the screen. James' father. Son, if you see this, then everything is going according to plan. They think it's about technology or power. But the truth is much deeper. You have to make a choice that I couldn't make 30 years ago. The roar of the explosion shakes the complex. Dust is pouring down from the ceiling. There is almost no time left. The Guardian approaches James, holding an ancient artifact in his hands, a crystal that glows with a pulsating blue light. You have to decide now. This crystal is the key to everything. But to activate it, it takes a sacrifice. What sacrifice? Asks James, feeling a chill run down his back. Everything you have created. Your empire. Your power. Your life as you knew it. Are you willing to give it up for the truth? The footsteps of special forces are already heard in the corridors. Time is running out. James looks at the holographic Earth, at his father's face on the screen, at the crystal in the hands of the Guardian. His whole life led to this moment. Time seems to freeze. James holds the crystal, feeling its pulsation. The steps of the special forces are getting closer. Sarah is feverishly working with the data on the tablet, and the Guardian begins to enter some commands on the ancient console. James Holbrook. A powerful voice reverberates through the corridors of the complex. This is Alexander Reed. You know you have nowhere to go. A live broadcast from different parts of the world suddenly appears on the screens. New York, Tokyo, London, Moscow, it's the same everywhere. Strange light phenomena in the sky. Massive electronics failures. Panic in the streets. It's starting, whispers the keeper. The curtain is tearing. Sarah suddenly straightens up. Her eyes widen in shock. Project I. He doesn't just predict the future. He communicates with something. With something. Not from here. The doors of the hall shudder with a powerful blow. Alexander Reed, founder of Quantum Dynamics, enters accompanied by armed special forces. His eyes burn with a fanatical brilliance. Do you think you know the truth, James? He slowly approaches. Your father thought so too. But he was wrong. This is not about saving humanity. It's about evolution. About the next step. The holographic Earth suddenly changes. Now it shows the future cities transformed by some incomprehensible technology, people connected to cars. They offered me strength, Reed continues. Immortality. Perfection. They offered the same to your father. But he was scared. I chose weakness. You're wrong. A new voice fills the room. Everyone freezes. Out of the shadows comes a man whom James has not seen for 30 years. William Holbrook, his father, looks exactly the same as on the day of his disappearance. Father. James feels tears welling up in his eyes. They're not gods, Alexander, says William, and not saviors. They are warnings about what will happen if humanity forgets its humanity in the pursuit of power. The crystal in James' hands begins to glow brighter. The Eye Project suddenly displays one message on all screens. The choice must be made. The time has come. Reed raises his gun. Enough. Give me the crystal, James, or your father will die. This time forever. But James sees something that Reed doesn't. Behind him, in the air, something is forming. Portal? A rift in reality? And through it, the outlines of something that should not exist in our world appear. The portal expands, filling the hall with an unearthly radiance. Silhouettes appear through it, huge, impossible for the human mind to understand. The special forces retreat. The weapons in their hands turn into useless metal. "Oh my God," whispers Sarah as she looks at her tablet. Project I. He did not foresee the future. He created it. We have all been part of the experiment all this time. Alexander Reed lowers his gun, his face distorted with horror. "No. No! You promised me." They promised strength, immortality. "Now do you understand, son?" William Holbrook approaches James. 30 years ago, I made a choice. He refused their offer. They sent me somewhere for me to see, to understand. The crystal in James' hands pulsates in unison with his heartbeat. The guardian retreats to the wall, his eyes full of ancient wisdom. It's not just a choice between good and evil, James Holbrook. It is the choice of the future for all humanity. The holographic Earth now shows thousands of possible future options at once. In some, humanity reaches the stars. In others it disappears, turning into something inhuman. Project I was not created by us, continues William. We just found him. Activated. He is a bridge between what we are and what we can become, in both directions. Suddenly, creatures from the portal speak, not with words, but with images that appear directly in the minds of everyone present. They show the truth about the origin of humanity, about experiments, about thousands of civilizations that made the wrong choice. James, Sarah's voice trembles. The countdown. He has reached a critical point. The crystal flashes with a dazzling light. Jane sees one touch. One decision can change everything. But the price? If you activate it, says the Guardian, your company, your technology, everything you have created will disappear. The world will change. History will be rewritten. But humanity will get a chance. And if not? Asks James, feeling the weight of the moment. Then we will continue our path to excellence through technology. We will become gods. And we will lose everything that makes us human. Reed takes a step forward. Think about it, James. We can rule the world, become immortal. But James looks at his father, at Sarah, at the crystal in his hands. He finally understands that his whole life, every decision, every success and defeat led to this moment.